what you're getting ready to watch is a pattern video. If you look in the description of the video down there, you're going to see a link to get this free pattern. And I'm also including this tutorial to kind of help you along. If you've never done cables, if you've never done bobbles, if you've never done a pom-pom, then you can work this pattern with my help. I'm going to show you, you're going to make one of these, which is a hat made out of Knit Picks Super Tough Puff yarn. It takes 2 skeins, and it's one of my favorite hats because not only does it look crazy, it knits up in an hour and it fits over the bun, which if you're a girl in the winter, you know how important that is to go over the bad hair day bun hair. So you're going to need 2 skeins of the Super Tough Puff, 1 pom-pom maker, a size 19 circular needle. What I'm going to show you today here is on a longer circular using the magic loop method. If you don't want to do that, you can do a 16-inch circular, a pair of scissors, a stitch marker, and a tapestry needle, or if you're like me and completely disorganized, a crochet hook. And you can easily knit up one of these hats yourself. I'm also calling this either a 2 beer or 1 bourbon knit, as in it's intermediate. If you know how to do cables, bobbles, you're going to have no problem. If you've never done this before, you might need to focus a little bit more. But have fun, enjoy, and let me know what you think in the comments. Bye! Okay, so the first thing you want to do is cast on your 30 stitches using the long tail cast on method. If you don't know that method, you can go to my Drunk Knitting episode 1, and that has that in there. And the pattern says that you can use either a 16-inch circular or use the magic loop method. I'm going to show the magic loop method because I actually think it's a lot easier with these patterns. Using these big bulky needles on a small circumference can be kind of awkward, so the larger cable makes it a lot easier. So all you have to do is, after you cast on your stitches, find a point in the stitches about halfway. It doesn't need to be exact for this pattern. And you just grab it from in between the stitches, grab that cable, and pull it out. And now both needles are going to have your stitches on it. You're going to have this extra cable out here. You're going to put a stitch marker on your working needle just to make things nice and easy. And you're going to go into that first stitch really tight and lock it in. And I say really tight so you don't end up with like an ugly ladder. So you've now joined to work in the round. That's your first stitch. And you're going to work that 1 by 1 rib that the pattern calls for. Once you get to the end of that first like half a row, you're going to kind of be wondering, what the heck do I do here? Because now you've got this long needle out. So all you're going to do is, again, make sure that nothing's twisted, everything's together, and you're just gonna pull it back through again the same way you did the first time. And that's why we use that stitch marker, because you want to make sure not to lose your place. And after you get a few rows in, it can be kind of easy to lose your place on this. And keep going around until you complete the row. And you're going to do this 1 by 1 rib for 4 rows. Okay, now we've done that knit 1, purl 1 for 4 rows. So we're going to start working the body of the hat pattern. First you're going to knit 1 stitch, and then you're going to bobble the next stitch. And if you've never done that, it's pretty easy. There are different size bobbles, but what we're doing is a 4-stitch bobble. So you're going to knit into the next stitch twice. It's going to feel a little tight and awkward, but you'll get it. Okay, so now you have 4 stitches on your needle, and you're going to turn your work and purl those 4 stitches. All right, and then we're just going to go, and you're going to take the second stitch and pass it over the first stitch, and then the next stitch, pass it over the first stitch, and the next stitch, and now you're back down to 1 stitch. And that has created your fun and funky little bobble. We're going to knit that into the back. And there you go, 1 bobble. And then work the rest of the pattern as directed. for that round, and I'll come back to you when we're ready for the cable. Okay, so now we're set up and ready for the cabling on row 4, which is where we're first going to really do the cable. So we've done our knit 3, our purl 2, and now we're going to cable 8 front. Now, instead of using a normal cable needle, because this yarn's so big, I just grabbed a larger double-pointed needle. And to cable 8 front, that means you slide those 4 stitches onto your cable needle, and you hold it in front while you knit the next 4. And again, this can be a little tight and awkward at first. I know some of you like to cable without cable needles, and y'all are crazy. I don't know how you do that. Okay, so now I'm going to take those stitches that I was holding in front, twist them back over, and knit them off my cable needle. And that is a cable 8 front. You're going to do that once more on this round, on the other side. Okay, so there's the first twist of our cable. I'm going to finish up the next few rounds and come back to you when we have some more bobbles and decreases and all that other fun stuff that's coming up. Okay, so we've worked rounds 1 through 9 once, and we're going to do it again. So I'm going to go ahead and show you that bobble stitch again. We're back to row 1 where we knit 1 and then bobble 1. So I got a little split stitch there, take care of that. So knit into the front and the back of this stitch twice. And again, a little tight and awkward at first. Okay, so we've got 4 stitches now from that 1 stitch. We're going to purl them once. Now, other bobble patterns will have you knit across again and then purl across again, but since we're using such a big, giant yarn, we don't really need to do that to get this big bobble. Okay, and now we're going to pass the second stitch over the first stitch 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. I'm going to knit into the back of the stitch to make that bobble really pop. And there we go, another big bobble. And remember too, if you don't like the bobble placement, if you want to move them around, you can even put them on the cables. You know, I mean, my tech editor would have a cold shiver up her spine if she heard me say this, but you don't really have to follow a pattern exactly. You can kind of move things around however you want. All right, so we've done rounds 1 through 9 twice now, which means we are almost at the end of our hat. So we're gonna do our decrease rounds. So all you're gonna do is for round 1, you're gonna knit 2 together all the way around. And that just means, it's as easy as it sounds, you knit 2 stitches as 1. And again, if you're doing any other method besides this magic loop thing that I'm doing, you're going to want to switch to double pointed needles because it's going to get too small. All right, so we are reaching the very, very tip-toppy end of the hat. As the pattern says, you should end up with 4 stitches at the end, which I've done. And it also says to use a tapestry needle to weave in the ends, or if you find that difficult, if you can't find a tapestry needle with a big enough eye for this thick yarn, you can also use a crochet hook, which is what I'm going to do because I can't keep a tapestry needle to save my life. They run away from me. So I've cut my yarn, leaving a 12-inch tail, and I'm gonna start hooking my crochet hook through these live stitches, grab that yarn and start pulling it through. You can use your fingers to help. I'm going to do it to these other 2. And use your crochet hook or your tapestry needle to help weave in these ends. So obviously you want to do that on the inside. Pull the yarn into the hat, then weave in the ends to make it secure. And up next, we're going to attach make and attach the pom-pom, which I think is the most fun part of this hat. All right, so the easiest way to make a pom-pom is to get one of these pom-pom makers. For this hat, I've got the biggest one I have. I'm not sure if it's the biggest one they make, but it's the biggest one I have. And you really can't go too big on this pom-pom. So all you're gonna do is open it all the way up, just the way you saw me do, on both sides. Grab your yarn and start wrapping it around each side. Basically, you can't get it too thick. And I always just kind of bring my yarn over here. I know some people cut it and do it again, but I just use the same strand. Because when you even it up, it's all gonna work out. I've also got instructions in the pattern on how to do this with cardboard if you don't have a pom-pom maker. But I really recommend just spending a couple bucks and getting one of these guys because it makes life so much easier than having to cut out cardboard each time. All right, and then you're just gonna close it. And you're gonna start cutting. See that little slot right there? You're gonna dig your scissors in there and start cutting. So a thin, good pair of scissors is great. If you can make friends with a medical professional and get some surgical scissors, I highly recommend it. Obviously that's not what I'm using. Keep going all the way around, keep that guy closed. Almost there. All right. Now before you take this apart, this is very important. Cut the strand from your yarn. You're gonna take a big strand of yarn, maybe about 12 to 16 inches or more. Can't use too much. And you're gonna go around the inside of your pom-pom. As tight as you can. And I'm gonna knot it once on one side, and then I'm gonna go to the other side and knot it again. Because this is what's gonna keep your pom-pom together. You can even do it a third time if you feel really nervous about it. All right, and then you just take this apart. I didn't do that exactly right, but whatever, it's fine. Take it apart, open it up. If you've got a loose strand like I do, give it a cut. You want to fluff your pom-pom, and you see these little scraggly ends. You just want to kind of even those up. Make sure it's still nice and tight. Even these up or leave them crazy, however you want. And you're going to attach it to the top of your hat with your tapestry needle if you're organized, or crochet hook if you're like me. Yank it through. If you've got another strand like I do here, I'm going to go ahead and yank that through as well. This thing's so big I can even use my fingers. Pull it inside out. Tie it. Weave in your ends, and you're going to have a crazy, funky, Tuff Puff hat. All right, enjoy. Thanks. P.S. If you hear the loud chirping, angry, crazy noises, that would be Miss Widget here, who hated that I was filming in the other room and ignoring her. So say hi to Widget. You can follow around with her on Instagram. She's a total jerk. She eats bamboo double-pointed needles, but we still love her.